I've been here for 5 years and I've owned 5 businesses in 5 years. And I started giving back to the community. So I started asking myself, what should I do? I started browsing ideas. Then I'm like, podcast. I'll start a podcast. I won't be able to teach the audience because I'm not expert, not qualified to help anyone. But what I can do is ask bold questions to qualified people. And I'm going to ask, how did you make your first million? Because this is credibility. The purpose of this podcast was from the beginning is giving value and giving back. Because I felt like I owe this community.
Alexander, the youngest gold expert in America.
Looks like you did some research.
How does that feel, man?
How's it feel? I want to be America's gold expert. I don't want to be the youngest anymore. I'm getting older. I'm 32. I turned 32 in October. So
32 is
feels
pretty
good
young.
though. Feels good to be recognized as an expert in your field.
How long have you been an expert in the gold?
To be honest with you, I would say where my expertise is on selling gold. Because that's when you look at anybody who's got who's acclaimed at anything they do. I mean, how do you measure success? I measure it by who's the best, who sells the most, who do people like the most, who do people respect the most. That's what it means to me, So how long is a good question. How long I would say before I realized the success and I hit all the benchmarks in the sales I had, I believe that was the best. Like Muhammad Ali, he's telling himself into me, I'm the best and the greatest before he ever was. So that's where my passion was, is I wanted that. I really did. I wanted it bad. So,
When did you get into selling gold?
Been selling gold for the better part of the last decade. I stumbled into it. I got into financial sales when I was in debt relief. And one of my friends who worked at that company got recruited at a precious metals firm. And he told me, it's like, you got to get into this company. You got to get in this industry. So I worked at several firms. I got as far into those, the first firm as they'd let me. I was young. So I wanted that senior title. I wanted to be one of the top guys. But of course, that's where I learned a lot about it. So like your talent in any industry will take you really far, but you still have to have the education, right? So I had to have the knowledge bag that these guys had. And these guys have been in the industry for 20 plus years.
How did you learn about this business?
Well, here's the thing. I excelled at getting qualified, at qualifying the prospects. The firm, just like we do, we would generate leads through our marketing campaigns. I was really good at talking to the clients. And I was really there was several people who were like the floor managers that would actually be the ones who could explain what types of products, what types of gold and silver recommendations the firm had and stuff like that. And I was really good at pairing specific clients with the broker who I thought that they would like the most. And part of any deal in general, right? You only do deals with people you like. Am I wrong?
You gotta be a good matchmaker too.
Yeah. Well, that's how it was. You present what your offering is, right? And you have to tailor, their needs and what they're telling you you have to communicate that to the person that you want them to be helped by. At least that's how that floor was set up. Some, money management firms, because that's not what this is. This is retail stuff. You're selling gold is, physical. But with money managers who collect like a premium every year on their client, there's usually one guy at the head of the office. It's like just so I think like Morgan Stanley has like these different offices, right? And there's always like at each branch locally, there's like the one advisor, there's 2 partners. There's only these 2 guys and they manage the clients and they got a secretary. And that's kind of how they're set up, where this was like, there's a whole floor of people in one room. So the way I learned was that I was the most liked because I worked the hardest.
I think it was the hair. Was the curly hair.
Well, I was surprised. You just let your hair down a second ago.
I know. I got jealous. We decided that we will let our hair down so we can, intimidate you all.
You want to know something?
Is it working?
Because I see you like to wear nice suits. So
Thank you.
And you also have good taste of watch. I got a brown face watch on too, just like you.
Yeah.
So
root beer. Some people call it root beer. Some people
call this one chocolate. And this was a gift I got from a very good friend of mine for my birthday.
No one gives me these gifts, man.
I'm going to tell you something.
I had to steal it.
My own family hasn't got me a gift this nice. I was super flattered by it,
Awesome.
But I'm not good at receiving gifts, by the way. I don't know what to say.
You're a giver. You're not
I'm a big giver, yeah.
We were talking about giving, but other stuff in the beginning of the
Yeah,
podcast. We can talk about it now. Now, everyone, that's how I met Alexander. I'm actually at an event now in Las Vegas. It's called RiskOn 360. He's one of the big sponsors, and he was the main speaker yesterday. I was working out yesterday. I met him during the workout.
Yeah.
And then after this, he's speaking on stage, and he's so humble. He accepted to come on the podcast today. So we wanted to support an amazing podcast studio here in town. We will mention them in the podcast. And they waited for us. It's 9 p.m. right now. He's exhausted. He's tired, but he's so humble. He decided, he's like, yeah,
Well,
I do want to make an impact here.
To interject, and I appreciate the compliment, but I just liked you. You know, like I vibed with you, and I thought,
That's common.
you know, you also helped me. You know, we were in a gym, right? And
I said,
is he saying like, oh, you look good. You know, you're doing really good in the gym. I'm like, yeah. Well, I told him, but I have a trainer right now who told me, you know, I did 8 to 12 reps, 3 sets was like kind of what I was doing, and where I put on about 30 pounds this year actually.
nice.
And
He gave me a trick. What was it, 20, 22 reps?
that's what I'm just sharing passing it on, you know, paying it forward. And this is what the game changer was for me. I changed from 8 to 12 reps to doing 3 sets of 20 reps on any muscle I do. Like if I'm doing biceps, triceps, back, chest, abs, everything. You got to do 3 sets of 20 reps, and then your 4th set you do till failure. Now you're not going to lift as heavy as you would as 8 to 12 reps, right? And that's what happened. I did. It was 20 reps at 205. They didn't have 245s. I was trying to did 20 reps 225. Did 20 reps with a plate of 35, and then I was like, okay, I got this. And I tried to do it at a second or third time, and I couldn't get it up. And he was right there. And
I had my headsets on, and I turn. I see a guy red like a tomato.
You know,
with a lobster, and he's like, that's all I hear, man. So I grabbed the bench off of him, and that's how we became friends.
I don't like to ask for help too often either. So
Well, you had to.
dude,
I was actually very surprised. How humble is this guy? I didn't hear it, so that doesn't count. I didn't help you.
Well, see, I was gonna say up until a few minutes ago, I didn't realize how long your hair was. Now I'll tell you, I used to wear my hair in a bun everywhere. Because I wear suits, I feel like that's like it looks more professional, right? But everybody around me was like, "Oh, you got to wear your hair down." My sister, my PR team, you know, especially girls. The girls probably always tell you that to let your hair down, right? So, like the truth is that's kind of become like I've accepted it. Like I don't tie it up anymore because it's kind of like my signature look, and people like recognize me easier like that. So I just think you look good with your hair down, man.
Thank you. I appreciate it. It makes me very like I feel hot when it's down all the time. So I put it down.
I know what you mean.
Put it up. I play with it. Yes, some girls ask me to put it down. They used to ask me to put it down, and I used to listen until one Jewish girl. I was wearing the cross, and I was on top of her, and she's like, "Lay your hair down," and she's like, "Oh my God, you look like Jesus." I took that as an insult for some reason. Because she said it and she laughed. She's like, "Jesus is fucking me." I'm like, that's so weird.
That's pretty funny.
Alexander, what was the first business that you started?
Fisher Capital.
Fisher. That's the first time.
Okay, well, to be fair, like, look, I had
Fisher Capital is the business now that sells gold.
Yeah.
You also do education, like you educate people how to invest in silver.
Yeah, silver and precious metals in general. I mean, like, and that's what we do at Fisher. So I'll answer your question in order. First company I started was my consulting company. And I did sales consulting, and I got paid through the company, but I didn't have employees. I didn't have like, you know, what typical operating expenses a business has, right?
You were a solopreneur.
Yeah, exactly. And it was just consulting. So, but that company is where I made my first million, like as a consultant for precious metal sales.
That's our podcast. How did you make your first million?
Oh, really?
Yes.
Well, that's really cool. Yeah, you like a lot of nice suits I see up there.
I know, man.
Yeah, you got good style.
I own like 56 suits.
Yes.
Yeah.
I recently, because of the weight I put on, I had to buy all new suits.
Yes.
And I have about 24 suits that I told my team at Fisher, I said, hey, I don't want to give them away because like I invested 30, 40 grand in my suits. Like they're like each $2,000 suits. So I don't want to just give them away, right? And then like someone was telling me, oh, if we put them on consignment, we'll get you some. And I wanted to go to the right people because it's also like there's an energy, like and you know this if you wear a suit, like there's an energy and like because you make your deals in your suit, right? I have made a lot of deals in my suits, so you know when I look at them, I think of the deals I made.
I've donated so many suits, but there's 2 suits I would never donate. After finished, I was doing Uber for so long, and then I started my first business.
Mhm.
And then I started the marketing agency. And when I started the marketing agency, I went and I bought 2 suits. I only had money for 2 suits. Each suit cost me like $200. They look so good on me. I still wear them.
Those are the
now.
first suits I bought too.
So my
Very
first
expensive.
clients, I closed them when I wore these 2 suits. And one of them was thrown out from the balcony because my ex was pissed with me.
The client was
There's so much
finer
memory.
suit was thrown off the balcony.
There was so many memories for these 2 suits, and I said these 2 suits I would never sell them. Maybe I would auction them for $1 million one day, humbly.
Yeah, well, and that's how I feel too. I mean, I have like a lot of professional photos in some of these, and they remind me of like, where I wouldn't mind seeing some of my guys wear them, but somebody told me, like superstitious, hey, be careful, that's got your energy in it. You give it to somebody else.
Maybe
And-
stitch your name on it and make it as an award.
I like
if
that.
If you hit this goal,
Hey,
I'm going to have my suit. That's marketing, baby.
Yeah.
You get to have my suit, and they think of it as a gift. Like, holy shit,
Yeah.
I wear it, you have your name on it. That's nice branding. So now, we're both ADD. Let's go back
Yeah.
to the topic. The first business was consulting.
But keep in mind, it was precious metal sales consulting. So consequently, once I had enough money together, I just like, I saw the challenges in the industry. I saw the lack of personalized experience and customer service. Like, you understand, like when someone buys precious metals from Fisher or from any company, the easiest way to explain this is most people, they're not familiar with a company like mine or one that does this on a national scale. And if you Google gold and silver, you'll find retailers that have a catalog of coins. You select the coins and put them in your cart, like Amazon stuff, eBay. And there's stores like Jam Bullion are like that. And then you'll find some that offer this as a service of, providing education, recommendations, personalized service. And the truth is that when someone buys gold and silver, we're giving them that physical product. So it's no different than the coin shops, the places that you see in your neighborhood or city that say like buy gold here or cash for gold or what have you, or pawn shops or anywhere that you would buy coins, right? What that transaction would look like. You walk in a coin shop, you hand them the money, and you walk out with a briefcase of gold, and it's done. That person, it's no different than any store you walk out of. Do I talk to the guys who, I don't know, the guys I get my suits from? Maybe I talk to them and they send, why? Because they send me, hey, I got this new suit in, or I got, that's why. But when you do something like this, it's like, do I talk to the person at the grocery store, follow up on my purchase, and that's how it is. Or my car, I don't call those guys, they don't call me. And so I feel like this is an asset where people, they get treated like that when they buy gold and silver and they don't have any service on the back end. So when it comes time for them to sell it, they might not know what to do. Or if they want to have updates on how well their portfolio is done, because that's what we do. We tailor the portfolio based on the short-term, long-term goals, or, what they're interested in, not interested in, what's attractive and what's not, right? Like, there's a lot of different options in gold and silver, and people don't know that. So we take the time to educate them on it, and we take the time to establish a real relationship with the client. And the truth is, we only get paid on the front end. We only make money when we make the initial transaction. Here's why: because it's very much like a store. We buy all of our merchandise, and I call it merchandise because, well, I should call it, they're products. That they are retail products: physical gold coins, silver coins, platinum, palladium coins. They are not commodities. They are not investment instruments. They are physical, tangible assets. And guess what? You don't need a license to resell them. You can go on eBay and sell your coin collection if you want to. And that's why I consider them retail products, right? So consequently, I would just say that it's ultimately up to the client on what they buy, but they're not used to having somebody that is there for them. When you have somebody that makes a very large purchase, like our average trade size, I think is about 150,000. If you look at all the ones that are 20 to 50K, you look at some of the ones that are like $1 million plus, like we average them all out, like it breaks out, the average trade's about 150 grand that we do at Fisher. So like if you put that much money into something and you have the intention of like, I'm going to use this down the line and this is going to go for my legacy, you really should have somebody there that's able to like continue to provide you service and insights. And that's what we do. So I saw a lack of that amongst the industry, because a lot of these companies, they'll say anything to get the client to buy, right? But they don't actually deliver that in the back end. So
They're solving a problem.
yeah,
They're just trying to sell and collect some cash.
yeah.
Alexander, you got here. You must have some discipline. So what do you think of discipline? Are you
Well,
a
you met me in the
disciplined
gym.
person? That's
You
right.
met me in the gym. I'm serious
right.
about my health. I'm serious about my goals. When I see something that I want to obtain, I work hard to obtain it. You know, I take a lot of really attentive to, you know, even the littlest things, like the way I organize my home, the way I groom myself, the way I
So have you always been disciplined since you were a kid?
no,
No.
because I'm ADD, like you said.
Yes.
So
We both
but
lost.
see, that's the thing is, it's not that I didn't have the ability to be disciplined. It's that I didn't have something like in front of me that I really wanted to work towards. Like that's, I feel like look, I've said this to people who I've had trouble like getting
Getting to the destination.
yes. When I see that what's happening, and I typically, there's two things that motivate somebody. It's either compassion or compression. Like if you're like fostering, like my parents were really compassionate. And what I needed was the compression. Like, I'm gonna be real with you. Like, my parents were really compassionate, and like they had a hard time. I was just a hard kid to discipline, but like, you know, I think that like I needed to be talked to a certain way. And that's another thing is when I worked at some of these other firms, I had guys that were much older than me, you know, talk down to me and talk very stern to me. And it made me very competitive. You know what I mean? So that pushed me. I can't treat other people like that. I can't talk to somebody as if I'm a drill sergeant and talk down to them. I can't do that. But, you know, as far as discipline goes, I think that you have to find enjoyment in being productive in general, right? Like, and that's, I think for me, what discipline looks like is like, I just try to focus on how much can I do? How much can I get done? And what I noticed is I went through like this really kind of dark time, you know, and I'll be honest with you, it stems from when I was in a bad relationship with somebody. And like that in hindsight, I see like I opened the door for somebody who, you know, and you love the person, right? But if you open the door for them to throw you off of, or anybody, it could be any distraction. Now this, for me, it was the girl. And, you know, I'm a lover. So like, you know, if I have a woman that I'm really into, like, you know, I
quit your job.
Yeah, I'll do anything for her, but I'm a fool. But, you know,
a beard for her.
I just head over heels like that. So, and I don't know, must have something to do with like, I don't know what it has to do with.
Listen, ADD people, what's your advice to them to get more disciplined? What was it like two things or one thing that you did that really helped you?
Well, for me, I found a way to use my ADD to an advantage, right?
So, what was it?
Well, what it was being in a fast-paced work environment where like it made sense for me to get pulled in a bunch of different directions, right?
See.
So like, for example, if there's calls and like I've got someone who wants to talk to you here, and then like you've got someone who wants to talk to you over here, but then you got to do an application, you got to type someone's information, and you need to send this email, and you've got to, like, that was kind of the life as a broker, doing this really fast paced. Then I got to lock this trade, and like, you know, like all this moving parts like that. I thrived off that. If I'm in, you know, my favorite tool, someone asked me this in an interview once, what's your favorite piece of technology that you use? And I told him I have this wireless headset called a Jabra. It's a lightweight headset. You can barely feel it's on. It's a noise canceling headset. If I was sitting next to you like this, talking to a client on the phone or anybody, they can't hear you. And so this tool allowed me to, like, you know, I can walk and it's one of the first things I did. The other firm, they didn't have this headset. So I went and bought it myself, like, because I saw somebody else with it and I was like, holy smokes, I need one of these. And I can pace around. I can, like, you know, go kick a trash can. In my office, someone had like I don't know, an injury in their legs. So there's like this little scooter that you put one knee on to get around. And I have one of those, like, and I just like, you know, I get distracted and I just play around. Like there's skateboarding there at one point. I was like just flying around because I have my office, like the length of a soccer field.
Are you motivated 7 days a week?
No, I'm not. Half the time I'm in the gym, I don't even want to be there. Okay. You know what I mean? But I'm there. And this is how faith is a big element of discipline, I think, for me, right? So like the values that my parents raised me with, the values that I hold as a Christian, and the conservative values that my clients hold is actually like really been a strong influence for me too. Like the typical person that buys gold from Fisher or buys gold in general, and, you know, is, you know, an older conservative person who is scared about the direction of this country and very worried about the future for the kids and grandkids, that wants to protect their money and doesn't trust the government. And they see these problems that we're facing. And I think that, like, hearing them and like why they have that viewpoint, it has a lot to do with their faith and those values, like through the line of work I've been in, the way I was raised. It's just channeled my spirit to really like focus on, like, I want to be the best man I can be. You know what I mean? And when my clients have an expectation of the way that they want, it kind of set the bar for me to, like, it motivated me to be like, I want, because I love my clients, right? And that's why I love selling gold and silver, not because gold and silver are the best things you could sell. It's because the type of clients I get to deal with, to be honest.
Doing a favor to many other people, right?
Like, yeah, but I'm doing myself a favor, like, too. And here's why. I'm in a program called AA, and they say for you to be successful, now when I say they, I mean a lot of the people who have a lot of time in sobriety. And they say that for you to be successful at it, you have to pass it on, right? So you can't just like sit there and read the book and like, and I really believe that with anyone's faith, like whatever your religion is out there, like if you want to be connected to your faith as possible, you got to pass it on to other people.
Right.
And that's how it was for me in sales. They say that's how you become a black belt in karate too. You got to be able to teach it.
Mm-hmm.
You can't just be a black belt because you kick ass. You got to be able to teach. And that's a really big part of my why in my discipline in life, is I want to be able to help other people. And until recently, I haven't had a lot of mentors, right? I haven't had a lot of people who I looked up to. I kind of like, you know, led myself, and then other people followed me, and then I had to like figure out how to be a leader and all this stuff. And I didn't have an example like other than my father, but you know, I didn't have an example from him in business. I never got to work with him in that capacity. And then we lived far apart from each other. By the time
What did your father do?
my father was a retail consultant, but he went to school to be an architect. His father, my grandfather, actually was an engineer for IBM. He developed like these really complex computer systems for, they put him in Apache helicopters. He worked on some NASA spacecrafts, and that they were part of the Apollo missions. And yeah, like his brother works for Lockheed Martin and is really, really
I
smart.
did some creeping, and I saw that you were one of the sponsors for the Trump's election. So I would like to personally thank you.
Oh, close.
Personally thank you.
Not me, but Fisher Capital, my gold company, is the largest.
Humble, not me, my company.
I mean, I'm just being technical.
Yes, sir. Yes.
Before my kids' mothers say, "What? He's giving all that money to them and not me?" Okay, no, my kids are gonna be just fine. They need to understand that like this is part of it, right? Is like I'm one of the biggest sponsors for Turning Point USA, and what they do is they set up chapters in high schools and colleges on campuses where for, I don't know, the past decade, it seems like the kids or the students, I should say, who have these conservative values, they're the minority on the campus.
Mm-hmm.
And it's partly because the teachers and professors are super liberal, and it's partly because the students are too. And
They're intimidated to even say I'm conservative.
yeah, and they're scared to even identify as a conservative, right?
Yes.
So this empowers them, and it shows them how to be an activist on their campus, and it educates them on limited government, capitalism. I just fell in love with the cause.
Well, again,
And
thank
then
you for that.
Well, my business
you.
aligned with it, and then they have a separate political arm, which is Turning Point Action, which is actually a politically, I forget what the designation is, but it's a political event where like people they can't just donate to this and like get some kickback on their taxes, like when you know that when you give like money for a campaign. So I mean that we definitely put millions of dollars into that, and I was fortunate enough through the sponsorships to be able to speak at the event. So
18,000 people. Huh?
I shared the stage with Donald Trump. I've shared it with him 5 times. I actually just shared it with him a few days ago at Mar-a-Lago.
Next time you're taking me with you, no?
I'd
Like you
yeah,
guys with your long hair. Yeah, I can yap. I can yap on the stage. Trust me.
Well,
Give me a glass of wine and I can yap for hours.
that was intimidating. You know, I didn't have any public speaking experience. You just saw me speak yesterday.
You did really good.
Thank you. Well, I didn't have any experience, and I went from having no experience of speaking in front of crowds of like, you know, 8,000, 10,000, 60,000.
How did that feel?
I'll tell you, like,
How many times did you shit your pants?
Never.
Never?
Never. well, to be fair, at the I'll share this with you
You
guys.
be very defensive. I see. I
No,
think you've done
because-
it once before.
Because I'm mad at myself. I'm mad at myself because I have a comedian friend. I said, hey, you got to write me a like awesome opening joke.
Yeah.
And like the joke
Tell us the joke.
I'll try to remember it verbatim, but I thought it was kind of racist, so I didn't want to say it.
Every joke is racist.
But-
If it's not racist, it's not a joke.
But okay, so he said the U.S. economy is so bad that they had to replace Joe Biden. No, they had to outsource an Indian woman to do Joe Biden's job. And I thought it was actually really funny. And I thought it's especially funny to me because like I have a call center. So I have some very rich friends who say like, well, why don't you just outsource your call center in India? And I'm like, well, because of the clients I'm dealing with, I can't do that. I want to talk to someone. No, I'm right there.
You know, you're not the.
Well, to be fair, my brother-in-law's Indian. My niece is he's some
Punjabi, no?
he's a Sikh. He's got
Sikh or Punjabi,
he's got
something
he's
like
got hair
that.
longer than both of us.
Yeah.
He's been growing it out his whole life, and you know, so I don't want
Stereotype,
Anyway,
not racism.
this-
But yeah, sure.
And I tried to put this joke in there, and it was well received. The problem was
Because
I was during service it, so I stumbled over my words. That was my opening joke, and I was like, oh, and that hit me in my stomach.
did your sister hate you
like
for that?
stutter.
Yeah.
No,
She was like, she knew you paid for the.
no.
Good.
This is divorced with him. No, I'm just kidding. And no, that's not. I don't think anyone hated me for it. I think that like it wasn't that bad. It's just you gotta understand, because as a sponsor of that event, like I want to represent them well. I don't want backlash and then to say, oh, he's a racist, and
Yeah.
because you know how the cancel culture is, and I was just nervous to do it, and you know it was fine.
Came up. So Alexander, how many hours a week do you work?
Less than I did when I first started my company, and I'm gonna be honest with you, I was working like 16, 18-hour days sometimes. At my peak days was like 18 hours. I don't know if it's because I had kids or because I just felt less motivated. Like I felt like I stressed myself out, and I felt like I kind of attained a goal. And I'll be honest with you, like recently in the last, I don't know, 6 months, I have been working the way I used to, but I've been spending a lot of time in the gym and focus on other things. And I've been really like, I feel like this is what I think it is. This breakup I went through with my daughter's mother.
When was that?
Oh my God. Well, you're on and off in the most recent.
Don't you crying now in front of me, okay?
I
laugh. I laugh.
I'm a grown man. I'm not going to cry.
So when did she leave?
I don't love
she
see though. I got her this promise ring and I still wear it on my neck.
Oh.
Because like, you know,
Yeah, you're about to cry. I can smell it.
I'm not going to cry. But you know, hey, you want me to be genuine. You want
Yes,
to know,
please.
like, because these are challenges that people go through, right? Like,
Tell me.
and
Tell me what happened.
what happened?
It's just me.
Tell you what happened. I could tell you that we're not together though, you know, and I'll tell you that it was just hard. Like here's what happened. There's something called postpartum, and there's something about becoming a new parent that's very stressful. And there's something about the way that I was working and how much time I was spending away from her and my daughter, like that was hurting our family, I think. And also, we're both really stubborn. So, you know, it's one of those things where people break up for a bunch of different reasons. Like, I don't know. She wasn't happy with me. I wasn't happy with her. Now we're fighting. It's like, you know, you love each other. But I say one of the things that it was you ever see the Andrew Tate videos where he's just like, listen, don't tell your friends that about our problems and all this stuff. That was one of the things she did. Like she would go to like our friends.
I know that's not
And
good.
like all of her friends started hating me. But I'm gonna be honest, like most of her friends are not qualified to really like judge me, because I'm like, I don't mean this like, I appreciate you saying I was humble earlier. I don't mean this in a
you are very-
condescending way,
Mm.
but they're not successful in the ways that I am. They're not smart in the ways that I am, and they don't work the way that I work. So how are they qualified to say that I should or shouldn't be doing?
She allowed
Or,
them.
and she did, and I think that and then, you know, it was her sister, her stepfather, you know, and all these different people like just started kind of hating, and like it kind of just the love was kind of like just fading, like even
But you still love her.
of
I can
course.
tell.
Well, you know, I can't look at my daughter and not think of this girl. You know what I mean?
Why don't you get her back if you love her?
She's a Hispanic girl.
It
And
seems like she's
Hispanic
not
girls
like,
are very stubborn. And I think she wants me to chase her. And I feel like I already did that too many times. Like, I'll tell you why. Because if it's meant to be, we have a daughter together, so I'm not going to see her. We know each other for a long time. I would like to be back with her if things can be different, but I can't go back to the way things were. You know what I mean? And I'm not sure, like, if there's just too much damage done or like how. But see, I'm not thinking about new women. And that's the reason I think about hers, because I'm not like even interested in like a new relationship or anything like that. I'm interested in focusing on my business. I'm working on 3 other companies right now. I'm focused on providing for my kids, and I'm focused on just getting closer to God. You know, and that's why I think I did like the wrong way. Is I feel like if I just like focused on just staying close with God, like a lot of that stuff wouldn't have happened, and I wouldn't be in the position I was there. And that's this year has been a year of lessons. So one of the reasons I work less right now is because I want to keep my spirit peaceful. And I take it as a blessing because it says in the Bible, the Lord gives you rest. Like that's a gift from God to get good rest. And if you're constantly working and you're drained, you burn the candle at both ends. It catches up to you. At some point, cop to me. And like that's I feel like a lot calmer, more peaceful, and less irritable, like just in my process, and less high strung.
my dad worked 6 days a week, 18 hours a day. Sunday never worked. It's like Sunday is God's day. And it's actually in the Bible. It says
100%.
Sunday is God's day.
We talk about discipline. I'll say this. Some days on Sunday, because you stay out late Saturday night sometimes, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I go to church every Sunday, and I have to have my daughter at church. Like now we're sharing Castiel and stuff, and I want my daughter at church with me, and I'm more about going to church than a lot of my friends. And just like the gym, sometimes I'm like I wake up and I'm like I've fallen asleep in church before. I'm not gonna pretend like I haven't. But you know what? I still honor the Sabbath. That's what I show up, and I'm in the room, and
You need to go to Orthodox
And
to my church. They keep you stand up and sit down like every 5 minutes. You can't fall asleep. They keep going. Stand up, sit down.
Well,
if you don't stand up, they'll fucking look at you like this. The priest is gonna give you the eye. I'm sending you evil tonight.
so I'm not Catholic, but my father is, and
I'm Orthodox.
and my daughter's mother was, and well, they are what's the pew where you kneel. They like act, so that's the same thing. Stand, sit, stand, kneel, sit,
So much work.
and wait, it's not. My point is when you ask me about discipline, I think half of it is like even when you don't want to do something or you feel unmotivated to do it, like there's times I've showed up in the gym and I was just on my phone and a lot in between my sets, and I'm distracted, but I'm still there. So like I feel like at work you're gonna have days like that. Like I've had days at work where like I know I'm not gonna get a lot done today because I should be doing this and that, but I'm still there in case somebody else needs me, in case like I have something that does come up that like God forbid I'm there, like instead of calling out on days that are like that, where like I could see like how my time could have been better spent somewhere else, but I always show up. Sometimes I'm late, but I always show up.
I think now you're working on the business more than in the business, and it doesn't feel like more like so much working hours, but you're always constantly thinking how you can grow the business, how you can do something else, correct?
Always.
There you go. So you're working on the business. You're still working hard, but you're working smart now. You're not dialing yourself.
Exactly. And that's like we have a company like this. Like so, that's the hardest part. Like think of it. Like if you're getting someone to invest I say invest to make a purchase, right? They make a purchase of gold. If you're gonna get somebody to trust you to do that, what do they want to see? They want to see that you have that you've been in business a while, that you have reputation online, that you have testimonials. When I started this firm, like what am I supposed to tell them? Like, yeah, you can trust me to send me $1 million over the phone, but don't worry about my reviews. Don't worry about how long I've been in business. And, by the way, you're not going to meet me in person. You're going to send me the money over the phone and I'll send you the gold. That's what I'll say with what I've done. You have to have a lot of confidence and you have to believe in yourself so much, and you have to believe in what you're doing. Like think of like if you talk to a preacher, there's nothing you're going to do that's going to break that man's faith. You could never get that man to forsake God. He believes in it so much, and he believes in the Lord so much that that he will die before he denounces it. And that's what, you know, you have to believe with what in sales, whatever you're doing in sales, you have to believe in what you sell that much.
Or you'll
And-
hate sales.
Well,
Or you'll hate it.
or you just you'll fail.
It's not hard. You'll
You'll-
get so
and
many
that's-
rejections on a daily basis. When I went to speak to him today to pitch him to come to the podcast, I didn't think, what if he says no? I'm like, I'm gonna chase his ass until he said yeah. But it was super easy. And this was sales. This was sales. I never thought he would say yes, honestly. Like if I would have thought about it too much, I would have thought like it's not
Yeah.
gonna work. So if you're out there and you go to a networking event, just like make these ballsy big moves because see, that's a proof.
Well, I like
it's gonna work.
I agree with you 100% because what's the worst thing that can happen? The worst thing that can happen is they say no, and
You try again.
that's 100%.
You try again. You don't
It's-
give up. Today it happened to me. I sent screenshot to my brother. So I own a photography and videography company, and we run ads. So Ashley booked a call last week. Ashley rescheduled the calls, and she messaged me like, "Hey, I'm trying to cancel, but it didn't allow me. So they rescheduled me for next week. Can you cancel it, please?" I ignored the message. Today it was the call that she rescheduled. She messaged me again. "Hey, I'm trying to cancel." So I messaged her back. I'm like, "Hey, Ashley, I don't mind canceling it for you. Can you tell me what's the reason for the cancellation?" She's like, "Yeah, me and my fiance, we don't have time to be on a call right now." I knew she's just trying to kick me out. And then I'm like, "Oh, when you have time, just make sure to take a look before the end of Black Friday because we have a 30% off." She's like, "Oh, I didn't know you have a Black Friday." And dude, we're messaging tomorrow. We have a call that she requested. She turned out she knows someone that we filmed their wedding, and they gave her like they said these are great people, and she's so excited to meet with us. And tomorrow she's gonna land in Vegas too, so we might
Yeah.
meet in person. So I took the no like twice. There's a guy I made $100,000 with. In 10 minutes sitting with him, we made $100,000.
Wow.
I followed up with him 13 times. He ignored me and ghosted me for 13
That's
times.
$10,000 a minute.
Yes, 13 times he ignored me. And then he ended up responding to me. We sat down and he had like 6 files for me ready. And pum, 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 we found the money. So you can't give up. But here's the thing. If you don't love what you do so much, you will be afraid
easy
to
to
give. No,
And it's easy to give up. If you
easy.
don't love what you do, it's super easy to give up.
absolutely.